One.
All right, what up, everybody? Welcome back to That Talk podcast. I'm your host, Nate. Today, I have a very, very special guest, long overdue. I have James Storms in the building. Before we start, I want to give a quick shout out to Brandon Cruz at Wild Productions and the Brandon Cruz podcast for producing this today.
Thank you, sir.
He's got the crazy setup today.
Yeah.
The new audio, the new video, everything is going to go crazy. So I just want to jump right in. So this is not a trading podcast, but I've been interviewing traders because of the mindset and the mental fortitude that it takes to be in an industry where, 99% of people fail. So that's why you've seen more traders on the podcast. And I'm going to have James go ahead and introduce himself and tell a little bit about himself. And then we'll jump into his recent successes and then some of the things that he went through, the trials and tribulations to get to where he's at today.
What's going on? Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. 25 years old, born and raised in New York. I'm not going to go too heavy, and I've talked about it in a lot of podcasts, but just grew up, pretty humble beginnings. Parents were, entrepreneurs, kind of saw that route when I was young, started my first business when I was very young. With the help of my dad, when I was super young, he was helping me with his deliveries, and I would sell little things, with car parts and stuff like that. And then I started flipping sneakers when I was probably 12 years old, 13 years old. Made a lot of good money. Busted my ass from the time I was about 15 or 16 till I was about 21. I was working 2, sometimes 3 jobs and doing the sneakers and side hustles and things like shoveling. It would snow, I'm there shoveling, shit like that. Any way I can make money, I'm trying to make money. So I was able to become a millionaire last year trading at 24 years old. I started trading when I was 20. We're going to talk about it, I'm sure, but it's a lot of trials and tribulations. Like you said, it's an industry where a lot of people fail, and a mindset has a lot to do with it. How you view things, how you view money, how you view yourself. The tendencies you have, decision making. There's so many different nuances to trading and what makes a successful trader. So definitely.
Yeah. So that's. Like I said, that's exactly why I've been interviewing traders, exactly what he's talking about, just the way in which I feel like not even success principles, but the way in which a trading will break you down as a person. And if you don't evolve, you won't make it. So it's one of those things where if you don't have personal development,
you just got to audit yourself and know this is something, even my father told me this since I was very young. He always said, James, you got to keep the good habits and get rid of the bad ones, right? If you can't overcome your bad habits, whether it's, instant gratification things where you're just, doing something, for the short-term pleasure versus the long-term, gain or whatever it might be, there's so many, things like that are going to hold you back. If you can't hold yourself accountable, all right, I'm playing too many video games, or I'm watching too many TV shows, or I'm spending too much time on dating apps, or I'm, if you can't walk away from that stuff, then you just don't deserve it. You can want all the nice things. You could want it more than anyone in the world, but if you don't actually put action into it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's why I promote purpose over pleasure, because I think that's so important, because at the end of the day, we know what we truly want, but it's just the shiny object syndrome.
Yeah, and we're not robots. We're not robots. I'm not saying you have to sit there and be monotonous, every single day, no pleasure at all. Definitely, at the end of the day, all we have is time and
priority
and this life.
Priority.
Enjoy your life, definitely. Yeah. But again, sacrificing a little bit can get you a long way.
Yeah, I like to call it an investment.
Yeah, of course. The time, you're spending time. Time is a currency, right? It's the most valuable currency there is.
Valuable commodity we have. Right. Yes, absolutely. Right. I subscribe to all that. So the reason James is in the spotlight right now is he took $60,000 and turned it to $1.5 million in a matter of 3 months. So take me through a little bit of that. Take me through what was, obviously, like I said, it's not a trading podcast, so I don't want to get too deep into it.
It started even earlier than that. I mean, trading is a vehicle to take money and multiply it into more money, right? Exactly. The thing is that most people are accustomed to trading their time for money, right? That's why trading is so hard for a lot of individuals, and just investing in general is because most people, the way, their perception of money is that, okay, if I want to take this vacation, it's gonna be 2 weeks of work or 3 weeks of work or whatever, like time, time. So, it started like I said, I started trading when I was 20. Had a lot of ups and downs. Like my first couple of days, I had turned like $600 into like almost 20K, and then I lost a lot of it, and just a lot of that, like I was always a risky person, even like riding motorcycles, skydiving. Like I'm here to do things to the maximum ability that they're able to be done.
Full
right
margin.
So full margin, right? So my biggest breakthrough I think was pretty much so in 2020, in the beginning of the pandemic. The world was crazy, the markets were crazy, everything was crazy, and I lost everything I had. I lost like all the money I had. Had like 50K saved up, and I blew it all in one night, emotionally trading. That's a big thing, like your emotions and how you handle them. And I lost everything I had, and I kind of had to, like, because I'm sitting here watching all my friends graduate college, and I never went to college. I actually, I lied to my parents. I said I was going to college for like 2 years, but I never did a single day, because I just never, I was like, that's not for me. Like, I'm not an employee. Like, I'm not, what am I going to go to college and do what? Like, work for somebody else, sit in a cubicle, or I knew it was never for me. Like, regardless, like I'd rather work in restaurants for the rest of my life if I had to than do that shit. Because, like, it just wasn't for me. So, I lost everything I had. Had a few $1,000s left to my name, like 3,000 to 4,000. And like, I almost quit trading. I was very close. Like, I don't think I actually was going to quit, but I was really close. And my I had a long conversation with my mom, and she's like, you should go to school, because I'd always wanted to be a doctor, like when I was younger, elementary, middle school. And then once I realized like how much time it actually was, then I was like, all right, fuck that. Like, it's I'm not spending 10 years, hundreds of thousands of dollars in school, 2-year residency, like it just wasn't for me. So,
Totally.
even though I'm passionate about it, like I always loved helping people, and I love the body and medicine and stuff like that. But regardless, so, I had a conversation with her, and I was like, you know what, we're gonna go to, I was calling colleges and everything like that. And one day I just kind of, everything was closed, and I couldn't even enroll in school at that time anyway. But I pretty much came to my senses at one point or another. A couple months later, this happened around like April of 2020, and then by like July, I had been like, all right, dude, like, you're a good trader, you know what you're doing, you're just making, you're making bad decisions. Like, you make money, and then you just, a big part of trading is paying yourself.
Real quick before I don't want to interrupt you, but when you lost everything, right? And you had the couple $1,000s to your name. This is a very important part for this podcast. Tell me about the internal dialogue that was going on. Like, you have, like, at the end of the day, what's the statistic that says that, a huge percentage of people can't cover a $500 emergency.
Right.
So when you have 50 bands,
right,
and you lose all of it,
right,
what is the internal dialogue going on? Like, I'm talking like
well,
after.
It was even worse than 50 bands.
Okay.
So like it was 50K in the account. I didn't go too in depth in the story, but what had happened was in February, because this 50K, like, I had built from like a $15,000 account. Like, I put 15K and built it up to like 60,000, and then I had a trade where I was floating an $80,000 profit, which means, for those who don't know, floating means you have a trade that's open but not closed yet, right? So, like, all I had to do was press close, and I'd have that money, and it, it was the first time I ever had 6 figures in my life. It was like 130,000. So, but in my head, like, that greed, like, as much as people think, it's easy to be like, oh, you had 80,000, of course you close it. But it's like, no, like, when you're in that type of trade and you see how quickly you can make the money, you want more. Like, not everybody, but that's what I was feeling at that moment. I was like, you know what, all right, we got 80, cool. Like, the trade's still running, it looks good, everything looks good. But the market is, we both know the market can go like that and change direction.
And
so
take everything,
that's exactly what happened. Like, I was calling my friends, I was calling my mom and my dad. I was like, look, I'm up 70,000, 80,000, and I held the trade into the next day, and it just reversed on me. I didn't even lose money, but I had lost all that floating profit. So like, in my head was, oh, like, you got to get back to 100,000. You had 100,000, you got to get back to 100,000. Like, that was all I could think about, was like getting back to like what I had, even though I technically didn't have anything. Right. So, Yeah, so I was chasing a lot of trades. I was using high risk, and I blew it all. Like, I was trading gold in one night, and I lost everything I had. Like, and I lost, like, out of the 50, I lost like 10. Then I lost another 10. Then I lost another 10. Then I lost five, and like I had like a couple grand left at the end of the night, and I was just devastated, bro. I was like, going from potentially having your first six figures to literally going back to square one was like, I've been there. So like I had done that a lot of times. Like, I'm not gonna. Like, I had done that many times where I had great trades, and then I would just fuck it up, like trying to do even more, like than I needed to do.
So, like I said, tell me what, like, literally after you decided, like, all right, I'm done for the night. You got a couple bands left. Like, what is that? What is that internal?
Tears, bro. Tears. Okay. Like tears. Like you're like like I never try to even like when you were trying to teach me like how to wheelie yesterday, and like a couple of times I was like, dude, like you're bad at this. You're so bad at this. How are they so good and you're so bad? And I never try to speak about myself like that because, your internal dialogue is like, that's who you are. Like, you're speaking to yourself. You got to speak to yourself highly. Like, you respect yourself, and, you're a valuable individual. And like that night I was just, you're a fucking idiot. What the fuck is wrong with you? You had all this money. Like, how could you do this? Like, just the worst of the worst possible things, and that's what led me into that spiral of like wanting to quit trading because I really just, I didn't believe. I lost all my confidence. Like, and I'm a very confident person by nature. So like, I really just lost all my confidence. And I really was in the dumps. Like, and I was looking at anything that wasn't trading. I was just so turned off by it. Like, I like, not that I hate school. I don't want to say I hate school, but like, I just don't. The education system that we have set up is just not like it's not in the best interest of
the individual,
right? If you look at the stats, the cost of college is going like this, and the amount of money that you're making from a degree is flat. Like, it's just like the wage gap, like right now. So why would I want to invest in that? Like, if anything, I want to open a fucking college because that's a great business to have. Like, honestly, straight up. So. So I was just like, but it's easy. It's kind of like an easy. I don't want to say it's easy, but it's like it's a way out that's not that's pretty guaranteed.
It's not necessarily easy, but I think they say the greatest form of cowardice is conformity.
Right.
So it's not that it's easy. It's that you knew that you're meant for something else, but you but you quit basically.
Right.
And if you were to give up, it's not that you wouldn't look at like a doctor any different, but you look at it like that wasn't for me, but I did it because I got punched in the mouth and I didn't want to get back in the ring.
Right.
And the reason that I really like where James is going with this is because a lot of times we see people like James, we'll put him on a pedestal, right? And we think that he's untouchable. He's never been through shit. He's just got this iron fucking mindset. He's got money. What else does he need? But this brings people to a reality, then go, wow, like he's really like, I'm feeling what he's saying.
I was at a crossroads in my life, and like, like I'm never not going to say that I was always on this. I mean, for the most part, once I got into trading, I knew like, all right, I'm going to do this no matter what it takes. But like, you get punched in the mouth and you really think like, oh, that fucking hurt. Like, maybe I don't want to get punched in the mouth anymore. And trading is literally like an arena. Like it's, you're getting 100%. Stabbed and shot and fucking, it's not really,
it's like, not a nice place to be.
It's not an easy place to live inside of. So definitely I was just, so after that happened, like I said, I took a break. I didn't have any, because trading, your capital is your business. So when you lose your capital, you got no business, right? So, I had to kind of step away. I ended up, like, a whole pandemic was going on. So that was a whole nother layer on top of it. And I had, like, a relationship thing going on, like, where I just, like, somebody I cared about, like, we completely severed ties. And, I had a lot of things that piled up on me at one time. So, and then, like I said, I'm watching literally all my friends graduate college at this time. And I'm just sitting here, like, dude, you just spent 3, almost 4 years of your time, like, and you have nothing to show for it, like, and that was like really, like that hurt me a lot, because I know that I'm great and I know that I'm capable, and I'm just like, how come I can't get it done? Like, what is it? Like, I was just like, dude, I kept saying there's something wrong with you, something wrong with you, like, and it wasn't that. It was just like, hey, like, all you have to do is just, like I said, the bad habits and the good habits. Like, I had great habits with trading, but I also had a couple really nasty bad ones where that's what was my limiting, factor in my trading. And once I kind of eliminated that, really the biggest thing for me was paying yourself, like after you have great trades, like after you have your biggest day, your biggest week, or the biggest that, or it doesn't even have to be your biggest, but like when you're having big days, you got to pay yourself, like you are the employer and the employee, you're both. Like, you're cutting your check. You're the one making the money and cutting the checks. It's all based on you. So you gotta be, you gotta put on your big boy pants, and you gotta, like, as much as it's easy to make money, especially when you're being risky, you gotta you just gotta cut yourself
it's
a
very
check,
easy
like,
to lose it too.
cause you get tunnel vision on the money. Like, it's so easy to get tunnel visioned on how much you can make. Like, oh well, I just turned 1K to 10K, and I'm gonna turn 10K to 100K. It's like, no, like, take 9K out and start over again with 1K. Like, and then if you do it again, and then all right, cool. Now you got 18K sitting in your bank account. Now you can be a little more risky. Like, you gotta. The whole goal is to build your bank account first.
Yeah, totally.
And then and position yourself, like, position yourself accordingly. Like, diversify. Like, don't put all your. I've done it before. I put every egg in the basket, and the basket cracked. So you don't want to be in that position.
Okay, so take me. So we're at a point where you want to get back into it. Okay, so you've got nothing. You got all this shit stacked on top of you, like you said. You got the pandemic. You had a relationship problem going on. You thought was over 100K. You go all the way back down to like a couple bands, right?
Like,
so
like 4K, 5K,
okay,
like, and 5K, and then, like, I was living by myself in Pennsylvania. I spent, like, this was the pandemic. I stocked up on groceries. I spent like $1,000 on groceries, and like, luckily I was staying in one of my family's. Like, they have a crib in PA, so like, I didn't have to pay rent, which I'm super grateful for, of course. But obviously it just, like, I was so, like I said, had such a bad taste in my mouth after trading.
Yeah. So what was it that what was that defining moment when you were like, all right, I'm ready to step back up? Like, what was that?
I don't know if there was any one particular moment, but it was just like I said, I've always been a hustler, and I was doing things, like, I knew I had the skill. Like, I had done very impressive things. So, like, I was teaching people and just kind of, like, sharpening my own blade, kind of getting myself back to where I needed to be to get back into the arena. Like, you can't kill people with a dull sword. If if you think you're always going to be sharp, like, if you're not, I wasn't doing the work, like, it was too easy and too fast, like.
Yeah.
So
it's a big misconception with trading. I feel like too is that people will, like, it's they say it's one of the hardest things that you can get involved with to make money. So it's like, if you're not treating it as such, then I mean you don't reap those rewards. You might just get lucky here and there, but you're not going to consistently reap those rewards. But so you're ready, right? So are you trading the 5K or the 4K or
yeah, I had like I said, I had like maybe like 4K, 3K, and I put it all, like, pretty much all of it in an account.
Okay. So then what happens after that?
I ended up getting it up to like about like 12,000 or so, 15,000, something like that, and I ended up withdrawing it all. Because I was like, all right, cool, I got something back. Like, I was kind of just chilling. And then the whole unemployment shit,
yeah,
and I got a little bit of payments from unemployment, and then our buddy Mason was selling a car, like a Porsche, and he's like, hey, like, this is you should buy this car because you can make money from it. I just need to get it out of my name, and like I can't like, he buys and sells a lot of cars, but he's like, hey, like, I can't afford this right now, but the insurance and everything, just buy this car for me, and bought it for like 28,000. And that was literally, I had like maybe 30K at the time, like I built a good amount back because I had put more money back in. Like when he told me selling the car, I had like 24,000, and I put it all back in the account. I was like, all right, all you have to do is make, I calculated with the withdrawal fees and all that shit. Yeah. I was like, all you got to do is make 6,000, you pay your $1,000 fee, and you got it all, So that's exactly what I did. And I bought the car for 28K. And I was driving, and that was another thing. Like, I was like, all right, cool, like, you made something back, and now you bought a nice car, and you have something to show for it. Like, it was like something like, I'm just like, so I was still kind of like, as much as I was still trading, I was still kind of turned off by it.
And
like,
you were still kind of like in this mental space where you're like, oh shit, like, I don't want to lose it again.
Right. So I ended up getting, I was driving home one night, super late at night, raining. This guy's trying to race me. Like, I didn't pay him any attention. He goes and crashes his own car in front of me, like some crazy aerial fucking doing flips and through the air and everything. And I slowed down in the road, and boom, a fucking lady crashed it right into me in the rear, in a Jeep, and totaled my car. And honestly, like I say to this day, but it was one of the biggest blessings that ever happened to me, because just the way that, like, I was going to sell the car, but like that was, the car was sold right there. Like, it got totaled. Yeah. The insurance paid me out. I had the lump sum, whatever. I ended up making like almost 10K on the car, and I took all that money and I put it in a trading account on November 11th of 2020. So this was by the end of the year. And in one day, man, in 24 hours, and just a side note, that whole toxic, relationship I was going through, like I had just the same week that I took this money and deposited in the account was the same week that I had cut that off completely. Like I did, I was just like completely severed ties. Like I was like, this is never, I'm never ever want to speak to you again.
Mm-hmm.
And, like that's a big thing is like, eliminating toxicity in your life, getting rid of bad relationships, bad vibes, like bad habits, anything like that. That's going to be, distractions. It's going to be holding you. If you're not with somebody that's not supporting you like to the fullest extent, then you need to get rid of them, because they're literally like a weight in your life, that's holding you back. Yeah. So that same week I did that. I took the 30K and in 24 hours I turned to 150,000 and yeah, it was wild. It was definitely wild. I had some great trades, just like, and I wasn't even being crazy with the risk. Like the first trade I risked like 10%, but I like, did 120% gain on that one trade. I more than doubled the account. So like it was more than reasonable. And then, from past experience, I knew I was like, all right, dude, you got 100,000 now. Like, fucking withdraw that shit, like, and that's exactly what I did.
Don't make the same mistake twice.
I withdrew it. I touched the cash. I had the cash in my hand, and that was big because when you're trading, it's easy.
Disconnected.
It's easy to be numbers on a screen, like when it's like a video game. It's like GTA, up, left, right, down. You buy fucking 10 Lambos. Like it's like it's like the same thing. It's like you're so desensitized, from it. So I made sure I withdrew it, touched it, like had the cash, sitting on the cash. I left some money in the trading account. I ended up losing most of what I left in there, like 50K almost. And then like the following week, I put another 30K in, and then boom, another one trade, 100,000 off the 30K.
I remember that one, yeah.
Yeah. And then I kind of,
right?
like I started building, a little. No, that was GJ actually.
Oh, okay.
So I started building a little social media following, things like that, and started exploring other avenues, like like I was never big on courses and stuff like that, like selling courses, but like it definitely I only advocate it when you actually have the skill and you have results. Like if you don't have results, like don't be selling a course, because like if you're not who who people think you are, like then that's not cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can't actually make money, then you shouldn't be selling the dream, So
I want to recap that real quick before you move on. So he's got 50,000, he has a floating trade, like he was explaining before. It means the trade is not closed. This trade is still running, and he is seeing $130,000 in equity. He doesn't close it. He has this like mental breakdown. He goes all the way back down to 5K, like he says. He spends $1,000 on groceries. At $4,000 left. Right, he tolls his car. He puts 30K from the car into the trading account. And within 24 hours, he has over 100K.
Right.
So we're speaking volumes here based on like the fact that he was at his worst, right? Because at the end of the day, something that I really like to promote is like, who are you when you have nothing? Right. That's very important to the mindset group.
Yeah,
and
I was doing the work.
So.
I was doing the work that whole time. Like while I had nothing, like I focused on the things that I could control. Like my diet and my fitness. Like while I was in Pennsylvania, all I was doing every day, like I had just gotten my dog Kobe. He was a little puppy, and it was me and him, nobody else, in the fucking mountains, in the sticks. Every day I would get up and run, like fucking, it depends how I felt that day. Some days I ran 3 miles, some days I ran 5 miles, some days I ran 10 miles. Like in the hills, and I was cooking my meals, and like that was it. Like every day, and I was just trying to trade, and trying to.
You're trying to get locked back in.
Yeah, just trying.
It was like you're preparing for battle,
right?
You know what I mean? That's what I say with like everybody that whatever their mission is, like you're really preparing for battle, because there's not only are you fighting yourself internally because you're like, God, can I really do this? Like, why do I think I'm great? And I don't even know why we get those thoughts like ever in the first place, but we think that. Why do I think greatness lives inside me? So you're fighting that battle, then you're fighting the external battle of all the people that's saying you're not great and all these other types of things. And then you're fighting the external battle of being in the battle with whatever you're doing, right? So you're facing all these things. And like I said, I just wanted to go over because, he goes over that. So, what would the word be? Humbly, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like, again, like, me, like I'm more impressed with the adversity than I am with the result, because that's what makes us who we are. Like everyone, I used the example the other day, like when you buy that car, like if you were to enter a contest and you won a car, sure, that's your dream car. You'd fucking show it off. You take your friends in it, you do all this shit, right? It'd be great. but then it would just become a car. But
Right.
when you fought and clawed
Right.
and
It's what it
and
represents.
blood, sweat, and tears, it's what it represents, right? But when you get in that car never fucking gets old, right?
Right.
Because you fucking earned it, and
Right.
you did it your way, and you did it the way that you lost all your money, you lost
Right.
friends, your family didn't support you, did all these
Right.
things. So I'm so attracted to the adversity that you've been through, because it truly adversity introduces the man to himself, right? So
Right.
if you wouldn't have lost that money, do you think like
No.
you would have the mental fortitude to do what you did?
None of it. If none of it happened, I wouldn't be where I'm standing right now,
Cool.
because it's just like, if I didn't go through the relationship issues where like I was giving in more than I was getting, and I wasn't being valued, I wouldn't have the self-worth that I have right now. Like,
Yeah,
if I
yeah,
if
very
I didn't
important.
lose that money, I wouldn't have known what to do when I made that next 100,000. Like, every adversity that I've experienced gave me the knowledge to know how to navigate. It's like a video game. It's literally like, life is just like a game. It's literally like, okay, I died to the boss, but now I know how to beat the boss the next time I get to the
Yeah,
level.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
all right, it's the same thing. It's every little nuance that you learn about yourself and your environment, and what you have to do is gonna set you up for success in the future. Or if it doesn't, then you're not absorbing the information,
Yep.
right?
I think one thing that you said that's very important that I don't want to skip over was that through the adversity, you're taking the lesson.
Right.
Like, how many of us continue to face the same kind of fucking adversity, the same lesson, because we fucking ignore it, but it has a different mask on, right? So you
Mm.
have a toxic relationship, you'll see a different individual that has the same problem, but they have a different mask on. So you think that you're doing something else because you had broken up with this person, right?
Right.
Or you'll do something, you'll make a different type of mistake in trading, but it's in the same category. But I'm using a different broker, or I'm using different this, or I didn't put 50K and I only put 10K, so I'm being less risky.
Right.
It's a different face, but you actually learn the lesson, and that's what's fucking important. Because I think one of the reasons that people will quit is because they don't learn the lesson that's being presented, and understand that the results are hidden behind the lesson, behind the work, behind the adversity. It's all hidden in there.
Right.
You're not going to get it without all these things. Like you said, you wouldn't have it if you hadn't gone through those things, because it taught you what you needed to do next time for the level up.
Right. Exactly.
I like that. So talk to me a little bit about where you are now. We'll talk about the 60K. Let's talk about that account right now. So
Yeah.
tell me about you deposited the 60K.
Yeah, so that was the following year, right? So this was November of 2020. Was when I kind of got my first six figures, got a little bit of notoriety in the trading community, and it just felt good. Like, dude, when I made that second hundred and I closed the trades, like, bro, I screamed at the top of my lungs. Like, I just was the most amazing. Like, there's nothing better than that first 100,000.
Yeah.
Like, even making $1 million is great, but like, what that first 100 kind of, I mean, obviously as things change, like, obviously inflation and whatever,
Yeah.
like 100,000 might not be, what it is right, like, or
Yeah.
even a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It's changing, so
course.
like, definitely. But that first 100 kind of enables you, like, that freedom of
Yep.
especially when you didn't have to, you don't have to put in 2,000 hours of your time
Yep.
to make it, right?
Yep.
So, it definitely enables a lot of freedom. It enables, it just feels incredible. Like, if you've never experienced it, like, I pray that you do, like, because it's a great feeling. So, so I ended up, finishing the year pretty strong. But January, February, March were a little, like, in life, when you have these big upward momentum swings, there's always gonna be like some type of, you're always gonna pull back a little bit, like, just like the
Retracement.
charts, right? You're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
retrace a little off that. It's just how it goes. So, like, that's kind of like the next few months were a little bit of me retracing, like, the progress that I made, but overall, like, was still in an upswing. And I ended up partying up with a couple people, and doing a couple different ventures, and not gonna lie, like, I definitely face a little bit more adversity, especially, like I was telling you the other night. It's like, when you make money, that's great, but like, once, like, it's easy when you're broke. Like, you're just broke, like, well, like, I'm not gonna say it's easy. I don't want to say easy, but it's definitely you don't have anything to lose at
Less
that point.
responsibility.
Right, like once you start making money, it's like, all right, I gotta maintain what I have. Like now I'm upgrading my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like now I'm driving a nicer
You have
car.
payments,
Like
you have
now
this,
I'm
you have
this.
that.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
used to eating a certain
It's like
way.
yeah. It's like now I gotta especially when you become a social media personality. It's like, all right, like people are looking up to you, so like you gotta stay up. Like it's hard. So definitely was like I said, we was coming back off that high point a little bit, and then by around June 16th is when I started that account with 60K, which I actually started with 30,000 at first. Started with 30,000 June 16th. The first trade, the first night, I ended up like almost doubling the account. That wasn't exactly double. It was like a $20,000 profit, right? And then I was like, all right, you know what? Why am I limiting myself? Let me put another 30 in, like because I was like I felt like, and I didn't even have, I had about like 100K like in fresh like cash, in capital. So like it was a good amount of money that I had put in compared to what I had like in liquid capital. So put the 60 in. And man, it was just a great fucking run, bro. Like it was a great run.
It was
like
unbelievable.
it was unbelievable trading, man. Like I was trading at my best, bro. Like, and again, my fitness was on point. Like I was really on all my other aspect. All my ducks were in alignment.
You're locked
at that
in.
point.
You were
was
locked
the
in.
fuck in at that point.
The only way to describe it is that he was locked in.
Yeah, I was just really locked in the charts and my personal development and everything going on. And yeah, like I ended up winning. I think I lost. I don't want to say I lost one trade because I took a L, but I took the same trade and got back in and ended up. That was when I made my first $200,000 day, and did the podcast with chart addicts and everything like that. So yeah, it was just crazy. It was just high risk, like the most risk you could take, like on every trade for like almost 13 trades in a row. Like I just won, every trade. Like some trades I would just double my account. Like I went from 30 to like 50, and then I added 30, had 80, and then I went from 80 to like 140. Then I, like I took a L, then I took like a 50K L, and then I went from like 90 to like almost 300, and then from 250 to like 500, then 500 to like
seven something.
I don't remember every single trade exactly, but I had a 250K day, I had a 300K day, and I had a $384,000 day. Like, and then I got the account up to like 1.2 million. And then I was just telling Brandon before, like, I'm not gonna, full transparency, like I lost some money after that. I ended up losing, like, I went on vacation. I was in Italy and I had a lot of shit going on. I was trading in the airport in Paris, and like I was just doing, like, that's where that's where I reached in my next high point. And then I started kind of losing my discipline, and I started kind of like making decisions that weren't the best decisions to be made. Like I didn't pay myself, like that whole account flip. I hadn't paid myself up until, like after I lost that 500K, like, and I started upping my risk. I started, risking over 100,000 a trade and whatever. Like, I'm not upset, like, because the aggression is what got me there, so like, I can't be like,
you can't slap yourself on the wrist for doing what you did.
Right. I can't be upset that I was like, oh, well, you had, 1.5 million, you only got $1 million, like, it's like, dude, like, like, I struggle with that for a lot, like, because dude, when you lose a fucking house, like, like, no matter, I don't care, like, who you are, like,
it's one thing to when you're winning it, but it's another thing to lose it, because you like when it's coming in your account, you kind of look at it like, oh, that's cool, whatever. But when it goes out, you're like, fuck, like, whoa.
Once when you're losing money in the markets, like, you think about like what you could have bought with the money, like, like I was like looking at fucking supercars and Lamborghini. I was like, dude, you just lost a fucking a Lamborghini SV, like, which I was looking at buying one, so, but it's always good. It's always good because it always teaches you something, and it always teaches, like, nowadays, like, I'm still risky with trades and stuff, but I'm definitely not like trading like that, like at least right now, because I'm kind of just in a point where I'm seeking out other streams of income, more passive things and things where I can kind of just be chilling, and just build my businesses and do things like that. But I'm always gonna trade no matter what, like until the day I die. Like, I love trading, and yeah.
Cool. One thing I want to ask you is, I feel like we, especially in trading, like we face a lot of critique from the outside, right? Because it's like people don't understand it, and
it's like a sport, bro. It's like, oh, like people sitting on the fucking couch, like watching a multimillionaire major league player, like, oh, I would have done that, or I would have done this, or like, well, you're on the fucking couch, bro. Like,
Yeah.
get in the fucking
Yeah.
game,
Yeah, so with the critique that comes along with trading, because it does it because people don't understand it. I've told, and everybody knows this about me. If I fuck with you, like I fuck with you the long way. So I've told many,
Right.
many people about your story, and a lot of people don't believe it,
Right.
and that's fine. But with that being said,
People
everybody,
that there's a lot of people that
people
don't
don't
believe it.
understand greatness. People
Right.
don't understand greatness. It confuses them because it's like,
Right.
again, what makes you think you can be great if I can't be great, right?
Right.
So tell somebody at home that's like maybe facing some criticism about like it doesn't fuck trading, like it doesn't have to be anything, right? Whatever
The
whatever they're
only
trying to
voice
pursue,
that matters, the only voice that matters is the one that's up here, like
Yeah,
literally.
exactly.
And that's why I said like your self talk is so important, because you like there are gonna be times, especially in like a turbulent career like trading, where nobody's gonna believe in you, like literally.
Yep.
Nobody, even the people that you thought would believe in you ever,
Yep.
like just like a relationship, you thought she would love you forever, like sorry, but it's not like that, bro.
Mhm.
And you gotta make sure you love yourself and believe in yourself to the highest ability,
Yeah.
because I had my best friends that like, they knew I wasn't really making money like that, and they kind of like, not necessarily like, so I lost friends over trading. Like there are
Yeah.
definitely friends that I lost over trading, like some of my best friends, and I don't talk to them still to this day, and like I feel like they disrespected me,
Mhm.
and I'm not gonna reach out to them if they come
Yeah.
and apologize. Yeah, maybe you're watching this, like, say what's up. But even my family, like, when I wasn't really, I was trading, but I wasn't really working. I had gotten fired from my job in like 2018 or whatever, 2019, from a restaurant. My parents used to come in my room all the time. My mom would come in my room all the time and be like, "You're a bum. Get a fucking job. Like, what are you doing? Go to school." Like, the worst thing she would say, and that's my own mother. Like, I love her
Mhm.
to death. And like when someone like so close to you like that says that, it really makes you feel like a piece of garbage, bro. Like,
Yeah.
honestly. So yeah, I definitely, like I said, like, but I knew up here, I was like, I even have, it just came up with my Snapchat memories, like, like 2 or 3 days ago, where I said, I was sending a video to somebody, and I said, no matter what, like, I'm not where I want to be right now, but that person is, and like, if they can do it, I can do it too. Like, it's that simple. So
Mhm.
like, if I can do it, then you guys can do it too.
Yeah.
It's that simple. But like, everybody can, but not everybody will. Like, I say
Exactly.
that all the time.
Yep.
It's, like, it takes, you gotta really refine every little bit of your life, like your time management, the things you put in your body, what what
Things
you
you
do
put in your
every
brain.
day, what you consume, like I said, your relationships, this, that, like you're on Instagram. All right, well, who do you follow? Like, who are you following? Like, whose pictures are you liking? What content are you consuming every single day? Because it matters. Like,
Mhm.
subconsciously, you don't think about that shit, but it matters. Like, if you're gonna be following, people that are doing something, like, you're probably gonna be inclined to do
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of people spend their time watching bullshit, like I said, TV, and I love
Drifting.
like,
Just drifting. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It just,
Very
just
unintentional.
like, I
Yeah.
love video games, bro. Like, it's one of my bigger vices. Like, I still like to play games here and there. Like, I've played so many video games in my life, and it's a great. I'm not, like I said, I don't. We're not robots here.
Mhm.
Like, we're here to enjoy our lives, and have hobbies and
Mhm.
things like that, and leisure time. But there's got to be a limit to it. You got to really audit yourself and your time.
Okay. Can you give me like a solid like, core like leg that you stand on when you're facing adversity, right? Because if someone at home is facing adversity, I want this podcast to serve people. So you know, seeing what you did, right,
Mm.
coming back from where you came from,
Mm.
being where you're at now, what is like? Do you have like that one thing or that one quote or that one book or that one internal dialogue that you turn to during this adversity or these adversities?
I don't know if there's necessarily one particular thing, but like something that did happen to me recently that I, like I'd like to speak about
Mm-hmm.
is my friend passing away,
Mm-hmm.
like my friend Riley, and he was 19 years old, Riley Palfy. He was very famous on, I'm sure if you guys work out, I'm sure a lot of people have probably seen a video of him or something like that. But he was 19 years old. He was on track to become the youngest IFBB pro in the world, in the history of IFBB, which is the bodybuilding federation. Basically, he was riding motorcycles, and this hits home for both of us because we
Mm-hmm.
ride and everything like that. But he was riding his bike to the gym. He had just gotten it 48 hours prior, and he was going very fast. The truck pulled in front of him, and he's no longer alive. And that is my biggest like motivation and fuel right now. Definitely, like I'm always driven, but like I think right now it's really just, and like, you know, I'm taking a piece of him, you know, everywhere I go at this point, because you know, like he had so much ahead of him. Like he was gonna have an incredible life. He was gonna be millions of followers, millions of dollars. Like he was a trader too. Like he was a talented trader, bodybuilder, whatever. So he had so much going for him, and his life was cut short. And you know, like I need to now not only, you know, work hard for myself, but like as my boy, like, you know, I need to step it up for him too. You know, like he believed in me. He believed in me. He looked up to me, and I'm not gonna let him down, because he's out there somewhere watching, and I'm gonna put on a show for him. You know, so like that's a big thing for me. I mean, in general, I don't really have like one quote or anything like that, but you know, you just look. You either like you can want it so bad, but like again, if you don't are not putting in the action, it doesn't matter. You know.
Cool. I like that. Yeah, I ever since that happened, it actually brought up like an old memory for me too. I had a friend overdose, and it was like, we think like, you know, especially with the world, like right now, the technology is designed to draw us away from our emotions, to confuse us, to get us wrapped up, to get us self-conscious, to get all. And at the end of the day, we don't understand, and we don't just like internalize the fact that you were not expecting to get that call that morning, right? I was not expecting to get the call or hear that my friend overdosed, like, and it was like, no, wait, I was just talking to him yesterday. Like,
I literally had spoken to him the night before. I told him, like, bro, you're gonna be a superstar.
Yeah,
like you're gonna be, like, you just need to continue doing what you're doing, and you're gonna have everything you ever wanted. You know, it's exactly what I told him.
Yeah. So with that being said, it would be a disrespect and a disservice to yourself and to the people that you've lost to not fucking get it. Right. Like, what else is there to do but to fucking get it, to understand that your life can be cut short like that?
To make a quote that I came up with like a couple weeks ago is like, you know, you got to chase your dreams. Like your ancestors are watching you, like, because they are. Like, you know, whether you believe it or not, like there's a whole bloodline up there that's like looking at you. Be like, all right, because
they're gone.
Yeah, they're gone, and they're looking. You know, they're watching.
Do something with the fucking name.
You better
do something with the fucking name.
You better create a fucking legacy for yourself, because you know, like, what else are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna live and die like everybody else. Like, there's fucking 7 billion other people are doing that for you. You might as well do something unique. Different. You know.
Yes, exactly something I promote. So, what do you think? Like, when you go, right? What is it that you want to leave behind, or what is it? You know, how do you want to be remembered?
Just listen, like, you know, like you asked me this before, and I kind of said I guess just like I said, making an impact in the planet, like, you know, making it a better place than you found it, like, simple as that. Like, you know, whether it's, you know, impacting someone's life. I've already made a good impact. Like, I have a lot of people that really, you know, like I've touched their trading career, their life, or whatever it might be. So I think that's a big thing, is just leaving behind a legacy, you know, for people to really be inspired by. You know, like I make music as well too. Like, you know, I can't, there's countless times where, like, you know, you put on your favorite song or what, you know, it just makes you feel some certain type of way, or you know, like, you can't describe that feeling, and that type of influence to have over a person is powerful, you know, like, and it's really important. Like, you know, that I make sure I do the best that I can to bring people up, you know, like, because there's already so many people that are trying to tear people down, you know, like I need to be the balancing act, you know, for all the evil shit that's going on in the world. You know?
I like that. So where can people find you, James?
At James Storms on Instagram, Snapchat if you want. I kind of post like stupid shit on there. I have a YouTube channel.
We'll be getting that going soon.
Yeah, YouTube's coming real soon. I'm gonna be hitting YouTube hard. Have a Facebook page. You know, like, I try to, you know, I mean, you can message me on Telegram at James Storms if you have a real serious inquiry. Like, that's probably the best place to get me.
You know, like I said, it's not a trading podcast, but I do want to promote some of your services real quick, because you know, like I said, you see the transparency here. You see what he's been through. He tells you everything, and not a lot of people.
Keep it real, man.
Yeah, you know, not a lot of people in this industry talk about
there's
that.
There's a lot of cap in the industry.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Unfortunately, like, but it's so easy. Like, you buy a supercar and you say, "Hey, I'm a trader and I got this with trading." It's like, you didn't get that shit with trading. Like, and that's why it bothers me, because like, I know what I went through to get what I have, and there's very few individuals that came up strictly off trading.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah. Like, or even people that make, you know, some people make money, but like, and I'm not saying like you have to be a trader first or whatever, but like, I feel like it's so special to me because like, I did it off trading alone.
Yeah, you take it very seriously.
And the best thing about absolutely. The best thing about trading is that there's no, like, in any industry, there's always some type of product, right? Like, you want to do Amazon automation or e-commerce. All right, you got to find people to buy the products and find a product in this. Or you want to do fucking real estate. All right, you got to find a house and find a buyer and a seller. And it's like, dude, in trading,
you only have to find money.
You. All you need is it's your capital, and it's you either taking your money and you're trading it for more money or less money. Like, that's it. Like, there's no middleman. There's no bullshit. Like, it's just you.
The reason I got attracted to it before I knew you was because I had this like idea my whole life, and we're off on a tangent right now, but it's okay. I had this idea my whole life that I was like, why does someone have to tell me what to do? Like, can I be independent? Like, I didn't know if that existed. I'm like, you know, and then when I found that, I was like, oh, this is the shit I've been looking for.
It's literally like you're in the ocean, you got a fucking fishing rod, and it's like, go fish, you know, like learn how to fish and fish, you know, like, you know, and some people are fucking really fishing out there.
Yeah,
like,
for real.
Some big fucking fish out there.
So James does have some services.
Yeah, so I do a couple of services. I have a mentorship, you know, like a one-on-one mentorship. Like, I'm probably going to come out with a video course, but like the whole, I mean, I don't want to go too deep into it, but like there's a lot of like fake scammers and people that try to pirate your shit. So like, if you want to learn from me, you come directly to me, and I'll teach you myself, like one-on-one, you know. I have a signals group, which is basically myself calling out my trades, you know, hey, I'm buying this, I'm selling this, I'm doing this, you know, this is my analysis, this is why I'm positioned this way, you know. I'm kind of sharing a bit of you know, the whys of why I'm doing what I'm doing, and you know, I do live trading and stuff like that. And that's pretty much it right now, you know, as far as like the trading services go.
Cool.
You know?
So, you know, full disclaimer, this is not a get rich quick scheme.
Absolutely not. No, like, I mean, you guys listen to, you know, if you listened, you know, like this shit, it took me
but
years.
You know, if you want to learn the skill set, you can reach out to James.
But no, you can definitely make money. And like, listen, like if I'm helping you, like I don't think, you know, your odds of success are extremely high. Like, you know, I'm not saying that I'm guaranteed to hit every time, but like, I know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, I've spent the time, I've spent my 10,000 hours and then some, you know. So, and a lot of people claim they know what they're doing, and like, I understand the technicals of trading. I understand the fundamentals of trading.
Which
of like,
is the news.
Right, the news of why things are happening, why cryptos are crashing right now, why, you know, the interest rates rising, all that shit. Like, you know, I'm educating myself. That thing is trading. There's never too much for you to know. You know, like there's always something new to be learned. Some new development, COVID, this, that, you know, whatever it is, and it affects the market in a certain way. So, you know, you kind of have to be like a detective and like a surgeon. You dissect everything, you know.
So we'll have this episode on Spotify, Apple Music. We will have the video and obviously the audio on YouTube. If you guys need, like I said, you need one-on-one mentorship from James, learn how to trade. If you're not in the one-on-one mindset group, it will be in the description below. You must join that group. If you need one-on-one time with myself, I'll have that link in the description as well, and we'll catch you